Do we move on to Julian Assange?
Yes, there's that in critical race theory lawsuits.
Oh yeah, well let's save critical race theory for the end. I'll have more questions on that. Julian Assange, we don't need to do the backdrop. For the last little while now, where has he been? He's been
locked up in isolation in one of the worst prisons in the world in London. And the hearing is coming. The judge's order is coming out this week. It's likely that the lawyers for Assange already know it, and they haven't leaked it. But put it this way: if it was favorable, it would have been leaked. So is my view. So I've no doubt the judge did not conduct a fair hearing, did not allow the best presentation of evidence, showed bias throughout, has had a history of ruling in favor of the government, rubber stamping the government, an extradition request. So I have no doubt that they're going to order his extradition. Now, he still can appeal that, but you don't have the best appellate rights in the UK like you do in the United States, frankly. I had somebody that got real upset because they like the UK legal system, but it's just different, folks. So
we saw that with the Johnny Depp story, but.
Yes, they're like, oh, this is a great system. It's like, you can praise it all you want. I get it. Some people like it, but I prefer a system that gives you an appeal as a matter of right, not just appeal as a matter of permission, because permissive appeals are often never granted. So and that way, and then a trial court judge knows that they're never going to be looked at or second guessed. Or often never going to be looked at or second guessed. So I fear it will be bad news, even though he had many good grounds. So for international extradition under UK law, there's a wider range of objections than, say, Rittenhouse could make under state law, even though his counsel got confused in that case. The international standards can include due process, can include that you'll be unfairly punished, can include that you're being targeted for political reasons. It can be that the other court system is not honoring your laws in certain contexts, particularly in extradition. All of those arguments were present in the case of Julian Assange. But I don't anticipate that the court did not allow Julian Assange to even meaningfully meet with his counsel throughout the trial proceedings, often denied him meaningful access to counsel in preparation for the proceedings, didn't allow certain presentation of testimony to take place, was dismissive of other testimony. They admitted again in the extradition proceedings that he's not accused of causing any harm. So a lie that's been spread towards the Trump camp is that Assange caused the deaths of Americans. Totally, utterly false. The government admitted that was false in the Chelsea Manning, then Bradley Manning trial, and admitted it again in these extradition proceedings, that there is no allegation that he caused anyone to suffer any harm. In fact, as the Project Veritas tape confirmed, he was giving advance notice to the Secretary of State anytime information of theirs was taken out and leaked improperly outside of their control. So he's been is the number one publisher of whistleblower information in the world, the number one adversary of the deep state in the world, the best advocate for individual human rights against the state in the world, and that's why he's been targeted and harassed and has effectively been locked up really for 7-8 years already between the time he was living in a closet in the Ecuadorian embassy. So if the court was conscientious, the court would find that no extradition should occur. I don't think that will happen. And that will put more pressure on the president to take remedial action. But there are people around the president, particularly like when Lin Wood is proposing Pompeo. Pompeo is one of the worst members of the cabinet, not one of the best. Pompeo is a deep state actor. Yeah, that tells you how QAnon is a disinformation campaign. That you're saying Pompeo is coming to the rescue. It's like, oh my goodness, that's like Darth Vader coming to save you.
I just know that people are going to think that you have a personal vendetta against Q, which I suspect you might for not ideological reasons, but rather practical reasons as relates to what has gone down in the context of this election. But whenever you go, I hear people saying, he's on Q again. Now, but here's a question.
I think people underappreciated how successful it was being. The way Lin Wood was able to develop so much influence. Q influenced the Flynn camp, influenced the Sidney Powell, and it was built up so that people really thought it was a good idea to bring in the U.S. military, when the military was never going to come to Trump's aid anyway. Even if you believe that was always a trap. And so I think people underestimated how successful Q had been as a psyop. Literally has millions of followers. Almost all the information that people are seeing that's on the Dominion side is being pushed out by Q, and it often ends up being disinformation. And so it was meant to hurt the president, not help him. Meant to undermine the Trump populist movement, not aid it. Trying to divert it into becoming a new militia movement. It's a bad idea, and nothing about it's been a good idea. That's why I increased my criticism to the extent I saw it was being successful and effective, and that's it. But but contrary to what Q has led people to believe, Assange has been in a terrible prison condition for the last year, and I hope the president steps to the plate and pardons him before whatever happens. Just step up to the plate and pardon him. Period. It's been long enough.
And now this is the issue, because I guess some people might say, wait for him to get extradited and then pardon him in the U.S., where you can, give him.
Well, the Q nonsense that was pitched was, we need to get him here so that he can meet up with Epstein and rat everybody out. That's the kind of nonsense they're pushing. If Q is not pardoned by January 20th, and the president is not named Trump on January 21st, Assange has no hope. Because Biden and those people want to put him away and use him as an example to the world that you never contest or challenge deep state power without facing grave personal consequences for it.
And I'm just going to correct you, because you accidentally said Q. If Q is not pardoned and not Assange. So
I'm sorry. Yeah.
For anybody who's thinking, because I've heard the discussion, I've heard the theory, let him get extradited, pardon him here, and that way you can give him security. Whereas pardon him in Britain, you never know where he goes. There's not enough time for that. Period. No. The only thing is now a pardon, a pardon regardless of what happens in the UK, and then if he gets extradited, it becomes moot. I guess they wouldn't even render the decision, or they render it, but he's been pardoned, so no more extradition.
They have to withdraw at that point their extradition request.
Okay.